Welcome to the Hard Faith Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Folmar, the founder of Hard Faith. I've been working in the film and television industry for over 16 years. On Hard Faith, we're about asking difficult questions about life and faith in an R-rated world. I'm here today with Matthew McCaulley of his award-winning feature film, unDEFILED. Matt, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me on, Spencer. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for attending the film festival. I know with that tech outage, your flight was even delayed getting to Los Angeles, but thank you for persevering and making it in person.
Absolutely. Yeah, unfortunately, I missed a good chunk of the festival, but because of all the craziness, really happy to be there.
Thank you so much for making the trip. Where are you calling in from?
Missouri.
Missouri? What part of Missouri?
Joplin, Missouri.
That's so nice. My wife was born in Lee Summit, Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
And we're hoping to make a trip out there this fall and visit the area. Now,
Awesome.
Tell us about your feature film, unDEFILED. How did this come about? Tell us a little bit about the movie.
Yeah, we were searching for a feature to do. We had just kind of come off of a high-budget short, I should say. We're all geared up to do a feature, looking for, the right subject and so forth, and really wanting God to show us, point us in the right direction. We had a couple of ideas, a couple of partial scripts even, and then I was having coffee one day with a local Christian psychologist that's a friend, and he started throwing statistics out of me and stuff that I had never really thought about, which is his main area of focus as a practitioner. And so that conversation ended up becoming a feature film. It's a difficult subject, a hard subject, if you will. Deals with pornography in a way, really deals with identity, our identity and who we really are and what shapes it. So, yeah, that was kind of the origin.
Wow, what a impactful conversation with that psychologist. It's amazing where you find inspiration for feature films. I often, borrow most of my film ideas from real life. Real life stories are hard to beat. Was this based on any individual or just, can you tell us a little bit about the statistics too, in case the audience doesn't know?
Yeah, actually, the statistics that he just hit me over the head with at the beginning of that conversation were that 68% of church-going men, so I guess men that attend church, Christian, not whatever, just guys that attend church, dabble in pornography on a weekly basis. And then the other statistic is that 50% of pastors of churches dabble in pornography on a weekly basis. Those are from 2016. They're from a Barna survey. It was sponsored also by Josh McDowell Ministries, 2016-ish. So kind of old stats at this point, but pretty wild. And so, that whole thing really just, I had no idea. That just really hit me hard. And so, as far as the film goes, it's not a specific individual or, based on a very specific story, but over the course of several years and doing research, interviewing people, all anonymous, of course, we kind of ended up with this conglomeration of identity traits and personality traits that fit into each character and the story. We interviewed trafficked girls that had really been trafficked. Guys, I interviewed some pastors who had severe pornography issues. One that still does have a severe pornography issue that is still in the pulpit preaching every Sunday. And so just a conglomeration of all of that and unDEFILED kind of came out of all of it.
Yeah, man. What an important story, and obviously such a, I guess, epidemic, the pornography and, how it is so accessible, and especially for young men, affects them at such a young age. I mean, it's sadly inescapable, it feels like, in today's modern culture. I remember when I was in seminary, a rolling elder who was doing tests for people who were graduating seminary that want to become pastors. I remember him years ago, and this is back in 2012, mentioning that part of the ordination process was asking these kind of questions, and that more than half the candidates struggled with pornography on a weekly basis. And the two biggest disqualifiers or considerations was the pornography use and just not knowing their Bible.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
How did the fictional story come together? How did you bring the script together, the development, pre-production? How did this film get going, and when did you start that official pre-production process?
Yeah, Spencer, I would love to say that it just then all kind of came together, first go around, first try. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Happen, right?
I would love to say that. Sat down, 3 weeks later, I had a script. No, not even close. It was a years long thing. The first couple of go-arounds of that script were, I'm just totally transparent. They were really cliche and just really, I was not happy with them. And I could say that I was doing the writing. And, just over time, and one of the big things that moved the needle for us was we formed a group of people who really cared about the film project and the topic, and we got together once a month just for prayer for this. And we started doing that. Things changed. The whole movie, the whole script, the whole story really ended up taking on a way more God-glorifying, God-focused type approach. Still, staying away from cliches. It is definitely a hard faith type of film,
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, just really God just really dialed in. Hey, if you really want this to glorify me, I'm going to show you how to do that, and it wasn't what we expected. But just staying away from, hey, let's just make a movie, kind of going from that end to, no, we want to do something that could actually be used in ministry.
I love that. Tell me a little bit about the ministry behind this film. I mean, that prayer group is very inspiring. I love that, getting together, praying for this. How did the ministry grow, and what does that look like for filmmakers who aren't familiar with that kind of entity?
Yeah, that's a great question, Spencer. I really, we really, and we didn't come up with this, so no credit whatsoever here, all credit to God, but we really ended up, Light of Life Films ended up, which is our production company, ended up with this MO, which is really a ministry first type of approach to filmmaking. Love to make films. Films are, as you're I'm speaking to the choir here, but it's just that's so much fun and such a great thing. But really a ministry first, where any project that we do, we really want it to be wrapped inside of some other ministry, so that we think of it as a funnel. The big wide end of the funnel is the film. It's usually the film, which catches a lot of people. Everybody's going to see this on streaming or whatnot. And then we funnel them down into these other ministries that are ready and waiting to take people further than just film. That does a couple of things. Number one, you see the film, for instance, you see Undefiled, and a lot of people's reaction is, oh my gosh, that just made my head spin. And you take it from there and say, okay, well, let's go to the next step. Here's just some more information. Here's a ministry that you can go to, that video series, which we can talk about, that we have for Undefiled. It takes them further and further and further, and that's all set up behind the movie. in advance. And so the other thing that I love that accomplishes, and this really, I believe, goes to the hard faith type of way of doing things, is that it takes the need to make the film the ministry. The film is the front end of everything else. It's the thing that makes you think. It makes your head spin. It makes you a week later go, I was thinking about what that film was all about, that kind of thing. And then there's a place to go after that. So.
I love that. That's so smart. I wish I had done something like that. I did a film on the opioid epidemic in 2020 called Shooting Heroin. And, with the drug addiction, there's a lot of different ways at tackling that issue, a lot of different theories. Some are cutting edge and some, have been around for 100 years. But it was tough to find that right ministry partner. But I think it's so helpful, and I think you guys did such a great job being so intentional. At the beginning of the film, I know you addressed the subject matter in the ministry. And then as soon as the credits started rolling, there were people that were, I can't remember if it was you or some of the cast in the credits were speaking about the ministry. If you want to learn more, get involved. Tell me, what is the response been to the release of the film, the reaction, some of the stories of audience members that have been changed by this story? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I think some of the best stories, just because I was there personally, were from some of the screenings. Before it was even released, we did some screenings in churches. Really, I wanted to get the hardcore faith crowd, and see how are they going to react to this? This is a touchy subject that doesn't normally get talked about in church, and there were obviously some that are just like whatever. But for the most part, there was one guy I remember that there was something about this film that just his wife was yagging on him afterwards, saying, it's time to go. He wouldn't stop talking to me because he just did something to his head, and he couldn't stop thinking about the subject matter. Another one, I remember getting an email at another screening where a married couple just pretty much very simply said, thank you for letting us come to the screening. You've given us some things that we need to talk about. And, those are some things. And all of that very much by design. The film was designed to be a conversation starter.
Yeah.
And so that definitely great feedback, and definitely what, and I say this to people, and filmmakers don't believe I'm actually saying this, but even if you hate the film, even if the film is terrible, if you hate it, it's the worst film you've ever seen in the world, still, if it triggers you somehow to think about it, we've done what we intended to do. And so, as a filmmaker, yes, I want to make a really, really good film. But in ministry, the other is very true. So.
I love that. I do want to highlight that you did make a really, really good film. It won first place. If I didn't make that clear at the beginning of this podcast, it won first place out of many, many submissions for the best feature film. And I just thought the production quality was so high. I mean, it looks like you spent millions of dollars on this film. It's very high quality, high production. We get a lot of submissions and they're all over the place. Some of the submissions are really bizarre and some of the submissions, are really good. And this, just the production quality alone, and the acting and the story and the cinematography and the writing, I mean, it's a real movie, which, in independent faith-based film world is high praise, because that's not always the case. If you showed this at the cinemas against Hollywood films, this looks like that same production quality, which is just really remarkable. So well done. I know that's not easy.
Thank you, Spencer. I appreciate that. Those words. Thank you. Big props to my DP, Adrian Petrosian.
Great.
I worked with him on 2 or 3, 4 other projects, commercial projects, which is kind of my bread and butter during a normal work day. But
what camera did you shoot on?
That was an Arri Alexa. He actually, he changed in the middle of things because it was over. We had 2 or 3 go arounds to get it all done, and he had a MIDI,
Mhm.
and then he got a MIDI LS
Nice.
toward the end. Yeah. But when we got the LS, we'd already started shooting with the MIDI, so it was in Super 35 mode. Unfortunately, I think I would have shot the whole thing in large format, but
It came together.
yeah.
Can't be Ari, just for the cinematic look.
Yeah. Oh God.
Beautiful. And that score, tell our audiences about that remarkable score.
Yeah. Well, that actually was done by my son. My son David is actually a senior at University of North Texas, music composition major. I just went back to school a couple days ago, actually. But he's written several other movie scores for us and others. He's done some commercials and so forth. And he's a concert pianist, so his talent just is I don't know where it comes from. His talent's off the charts, but good, fun. That's totally off the subject, but to work on a big project with a family member is really, really a cool family member that you get along with.
Double bonus points.
Yeah, double bonus points right there. Yeah.
You did a great job. The score is really compelling. And then tell me about your cast. I mentioned to you, we've worked with some of the actors mutually. Like I've worked with Bradford and Stelio and Sharon, and your cast was just remarkable. I mean, even the extras, like everyone, I don't know Joplin that well to know that if there's this talent pool that you're choosing from or a deep bench, but I mean, how did you bring this cast together? It's incredible.
Well, I had known Bradford Haynes for a while. He'd been in one of our short films back in 2017-ish. Long kind of a cool story there about how we became friends. He got sick on set, and I took him some Pepto at the hotel. We were like friends from that point on.
That'll do it.
Yeah. But so Bradford, like, just natural, and he'd been actually had been a professional in the Dodgers organization, professional ball.
I didn't know that. What?
Yeah. Way back when, he has a whole history of professional ball with Dodgers. He played in their organization. Eventually ended up with a couple of 2-3 years, I believe, in Japan, playing professional ball in Japan. So, he was the real deal.
Method acting.
Yeah, seriously. And so he was just perfect for the part. He's kind of a quiet guy too, normally in real life. And so the Mitch character, he just fit him so well. And he did an amazing job. Stelio was toward the end that he came on. We needed this kind of father figure coach, not cliche, but yet kind of the real deal. And he just perfect for that, nailed that. And so many others. Michael Patterson was kind of the bad dad, he dad from Mitch's past. He's won several awards. He won Best Supporting at the International Christian Film Festival.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. So just really cool. Amazing cast. Amazing crew. They were all together, and they were all just like doing their thing and making it happen. I was the one who was a wreck the whole time, trying to produce and direct at the same time. But
it's tough to wear so many hats.
Oh my gosh, yeah. At that budget level too, I think that's really when it gets it was insane. But praise the Lord, it all came together. Kappa Studios did most of the post.
That's awesome. Did you fly out here to Burbank?
Yeah, I was in Burbank quite a bit last year. Last year, I think, when we were in post, I cut it. I edited it, just did the first cut. Yeah. And then, because I do that for a living anyways, but, and then I just sent it to them.
Yeah.
In all of its mess, and said, okay, it's yours now. And,
figure it out.
Yeah, basically, yeah. They are amazing. They are so amazing.
They are.
Those guys are.
They do great work.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And for audiences that don't know, Kappa is the post-production house for the TV series The Chosen. So many faith films, even the upcoming Reagan biopic, was cut at Kappa, and finishing sound and color at Kappa. They're a really great Christian organization, post-house, Hollywood standard, can't get any better. Matt, what's next for you? I know this was a long journey to make this film, and it was a big project, and I think you mentioned at the film festival, maybe a 7-year process to make this film.
From beginning to end, yeah, I would say it was, about a 6-ish year. This was our first major feature film. This is the biggest project we'd ever done. So a lot of that stretching out, I think, was just because we were kind of feeling our way around.
Sure.
And then it got bloated and out of hand. My own fault. I mean, let's go make a baseball movie. I mean, come on. Hey, by the way, let's do it at a historic stadium that's, 14 hours away. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Anyways, that was, I think, the main reason that it took so long. We really have been talking internally, though. We want to really compress that cycle and be able to do things a lot differently as far as production is concerned. Not, keeping the same production quality, but changing the methods to get to where we can produce more quicker.
Yeah.
So the next thing probably, we haven't done a documentary. We're gonna tackle a doc next. That's probably the next thing. We're involved very heavily with the homeless population here in our hometown, and that's been done a lot, but we kind of want to take a different angle on that, I think.
Yeah.
And so that's next, and then simultaneously we're kind of in the background writing another feature. And we haven't really completely landed on topic there yet, but yeah.
You have a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
As you should. For audiences that want to watch your movie, can you tell us where we can find it easily?
Yes. The easiest thing to do is, if you want to watch it for free, go to Tubi, free with ads, but also Amazon, very easy. Go to Amazon, watch it, or Apple TV. If you have Apple TV. It's on about 12 other platforms too. That most of which I had never heard of before distribution. But props to them, they took it. So, but yeah, I would say Amazon, Tubi, or Apple TV are your best bet.
Brilliant. And for people who want to learn more about the ministry, and want help with their own, addictions, where can they go?
livingundefiled.com. Where's it? It's right there.
There it is.
Yeah. livingundefiled.com is where our video resources live, and so I think they're really cheap. It's like a group or individual study, an 8-part video series that you can purchase there. It's like under $20, I think, and it comes with a 60-page book that's worth its weight in gold. But that's there, and then also undefiledmovie.com is a great place to just learn more about movie, the ministries, and our partners, Boulder Recovery and Pure Desire Ministries.
And for a closing word of hope for people who are struggling, with pornography and addiction, what hope can you give them, that the ministry would give them if they want to explore further?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think that most of those people feel completely trapped. I think that a lot of people I've talked to in the church said, well, those guys they don't even want to change. And I'm sure that that's true at some stage that people go through. But eventually, especially Christians, they get to a spot where something's got to change here, but I don't want to tell anybody. I don't want my life ruined, et cetera, et cetera. I think the easy answer there is can change. It will change. And there are plenty of resources to help it change. It won't necessarily be easy, but it can, and God will get you through it. And I've seen this all the time. It's nothing unlike any other issue, overeating, drinking, whatever, smoking, whatever the issue is that is a problem. It's nothing, not at all unlike any of those.
That's great. I love that. Matt, thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you for your film and your ministry. I can't wait to see your future submissions for the Hard Faith Film Festival. What was your experience like attending the Hard Faith Film Festival? If no one's ever attended, never submitted, how was your experience?
Well, it was wonderful to begin with, even though I missed a bunch of it, but I just happened upon it on Film Freeway, I think. And just the title alone, I said, okay, hold on, wait a minute. That's our film, just the title. Hard Faith? Yeah, that's us. That is. You and I, Spencer, share the same philosophy for filmmaking, Christian filmmaking. And so that was the beginning. And then I've been to a lot of festivals, and I've been to a lot of big festivals and some small ones. And I have to say that the Hard Faith Festival felt like this close-knit family. Like we're all just there, just sharing each other's stuff and encouraging each other. I've been to other festivals that weren't quite like that, that were a little bit more, just surface level, nothing wrong with them, but this one just felt really family-like we were just there as a family. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for that. Very kind words. Really hope you attend future events. Loved your presence. Love getting to know you in person. Really appreciate you making the flight and the trip despite the delays. Wonderful film. Is there any other links or anything that we can share for you? Anything else our audience can follow your journey?
unDefiledmovie.com or lightoflightfilms.com. Just keep up with what we're doing there. You can sign up for our newsletter there if you'd like. Just kind of keep up with what we're doing. But I really appreciate you, Spencer. I appreciate Festival and all the work that you do. And you are a huge just encouragement. Everybody that was there at your festival is a huge encouragement. And so please keep up what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Matt. We certainly will. We're excited for the third year, slowly getting it planned. And, I think that's the highest compliment I've heard yet, that it was just like a family encouraging environment, which I think is so vital for filmmakers and, people of faith. So love it. Thank you, Matt. Thanks so much for listening to this edition of the Hard Faith Podcast. Please subscribe and share this podcast. Visit hardfaith.com to learn more.